Hello, everybody. Let me just adjust a few things here. That's not it. Here we are. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is going to be a really exciting broadcast, collaboration between Speak Good Human and a bunch of really cool people who have been involved in some great projects over the last few months. And it just seemed like it was the right time to sum up what's been going on and how we can apply some of these great successes we've been seeing and having, and kind of pass along the good fortune to everyone else, because this topic, finding your style and voice in animal communication, is really the crux of it all. It's really at the heart of what we're doing here, because anyone who's even tried this skill at all has struggled with this. And I've been doing this site, Speak Good Human, which is a free animal communication practice site. Anyone can stop by and practice with animals. And there's lots of great information there about just about everything. But how I started it was because I was desperately trying to find my own voice in animal communication. I had been taking a class, and I had been reading lots of books and watching lots of videos. I literally did everything I could think of to try to learn this, and not much was happening. And so I kept, in my process of trying to find all these methods, I realized that not everything is for everyone. And just because one teacher says this is the way, it doesn't mean it's the way for everyone. It may be for some people, and that's great. And maybe part of it is just for you, but not all of it. So in my travels and all this stuff, my breakthrough came when I really said, enough of this. I put aside everything I learned, and I just kind of felt what my own style was. I let myself, my internal self, just kind of guide me. And boy, did I have a breakthrough. It was a huge breakthrough. And ever since, I've been able to do this. And of course, I've advanced more over the years with more skills and honing my techniques, but it still was a breakthrough. And I felt like filling up the site with this type of stuff would be the way to help everyone else find their own breakthroughs. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years, is filling the site with different things you can try, different tips, different techniques, different perspectives, different resources, because maybe one thing won't work, but another thing might. And so if you just keep exploring, I felt like that would kind of cover everybody. The other thing is, the way that the site works with practice is that you could practice with any of the animals, and you can send in your communication or your experience to the animals' people, and you'll get a response back. You'll get feedback. And I felt like this was a big step for me and for others, because when I started learning in a workshop, they did live interactions with the animals. And so we would all do this all at once. And as the beginner, as a learner, this scared the hell out of me. Sorry to say, it scared me because I didn't know anything about this. What if nothing came to my mind? What if I couldn't hear the animals? And a lot of people other students were thinking the same things. And we all kind of froze. And a few of the students who maybe have had a little more experience, or maybe have had this skill more developed since they were young, they went right into it, and had conversations with the animals. And because we all saw their success, and we thought, well, we're just starting, we can't possibly live up to that, we just kind of froze. And so I developed this site so that you can do this on your own, and in your own space, in your own time, and kind of not be scared about being put on the spot. So it's worked. It's been great. And I just wanted to share with you a few of the breakthroughs that I feel have come about since those 5 years. And then after that, I'm going to get into this webinar content, which is I'm going to have a great guest, Joanne Yeoh. She's a teacher and communicator in the UK. And I also have 4 other guests lined up who are going to share their points of view of how they found their voices in this field and what has helped and how their families have been transformed, their animal families and their human families. And I think by the end, you'll find some really great tips and strategies and different ways of looking at things. And yeah, let's get into it. I wanted to say that the first thing that I found over the years to really find your own voice and style is just to trust yourself and the way you work. Because as I mentioned, nobody does this better than you do for yourself. You can listen to everybody else's techniques and it may work great for them, but what works for you is exactly perfect for you. And only you know how to do that the right way. A good teacher can guide you in that direction. They can point you to ways you can explore so that you can find your own way. But in the end, it's really all about you and what you feel comfortable with, what your unique talents and skills are, and innately what works for you. So keep that in mind and be true to yourself. Don't give away your own power. Now, the second one that I wanted to mention is don't wait to learn the process. And what I mean by that is don't wait to practice talking with animals until you read 5 books and took 3 classes and watched all these videos and did all sorts of stuff. You can keep doing that forever. There's a lot of content out there and you can keep practicing and learning and stuff like that forever. But all that's going to do likely is, yes, it'll give you some knowledge, but it also has the potential of putting up a lot of blocks and restrictions because you're learning things that may contradict each other. You may be learning things that won't work for you. And you may be learning processes that feel more like rules, which you don't need. And those all kind of put up walls and restrictions. And so instead of really just tuning into yourself in your communication, you are trying to remember the rules and trying to wonder, am I doing this right? What else do I have to think about? And it freaks you out. It's not a good way to free your mind and free your heart to do this kind of stuff. So when I say don't wait to learn the process, that's exactly what I mean. Don't wait, just start practicing. Put yourself into it, and you can learn other things along the way if it feels right to you. But not waiting and just getting right into practicing is the right way, I think. And I think it also will help you find your own style the fastest, because without hearing anyone else's points of view or their rules or guidelines or ways of doing things, you're going to really find what speaks to you because it's just coming from you. The third thing, and then I'm going to introduce our special guest today. The third thing is to think outside the box. And what I mean by that is the text box, because on my site and in many animal communication practice groups or even in professional communications, if you're a professional, the text box is you get the communication from the animal, you write it down, and you send it in. And you get a response back, usually by more text. And that is the traditional way of doing things, just because of how our communications are set up. And it works well. For me, I'm a writer by trade. And so it really works well for me because I love writing and I can really express myself in my best form in that way. However, it doesn't work that way for everybody. Not everybody loves to write. and not everybody can communicate in the same way, or really find the best way to express themselves through writing. And so what I'm saying by think outside the box is think about other ways that this might be possible. And the reason why I'm saying that is because a few months ago, Joanne Yeoh, the teacher who will be joining us in just a moment, she introduced another way of doing this, not through writing, and it's a way that she has used through her own professional practice and has helped her students start to learn, and that's through audio and video. And even a lot of professionals don't do it this way. They still take on clients and communicate with the animals and submit their communications through text and email and things like that. Joanne, though, has trained herself to use video. And what that helps her do is opens up the pathways to her brain and just kind of frees up the whole process for her. And she can communicate directly with the animals and have this free flow of thought back and forth. And it works wonders for her. She wouldn't do it in any other way. And she has kind of introduced that in her own teachings. And that's a lot of what you're going to hear today, is how some of these learners have embraced this new technique. And even though it's scary for a lot of people, it really has opened up worlds for everybody. So that's kind of a preview of what you'll be hearing today. And I think I'm going to introduce Joanne right now. I'm going to put her on screen, and she's going to kind of be our guide today. I'll be asking her some questions. And if you guys out there have any comments as well or questions along the way, please feel free to post them below. And we'll have a question session at the end and answer any of those questions. And be sure to tune in for the end. I'll give you a link to 30 days or a free month in Joanne's practice group. It's a confidence builder group that she runs, and a lot of people have advanced in that group in just way less than 30 days. So I'll have a link for you at the end. If you're watching this by then and you have the link, you are qualified to get that free month. So without further ado, Joanne Yeoh, here we are.
Hey, I'll make sure I'm in the I'm in the frame. Yeah. Hey, Josh. Hi, everybody.
Joanne is a professional communicator from the UK. She's also a teacher. She does all her teaching online and has quite a great setup. She also has a practice den on Speak Good Human to help her students. And really, I've seen the way she works over the last, more than 6 months by now. And I've just loved everything. I've loved how she works, and I love every student who's ever been in there has loved it as well. It's really an encouraging environment and something that really does the most for you, which is boost your confidence. And that's for a learner, that's the best you can do, because instead of just teaching techniques and skills, which are important, building your confidence helps you boost your internal skills, which is really what it's all about. Anything to add to that, Joanne? I have a few questions for you, but
I think you can keep going, Josh. You're speaking my language.
Okay. Well, how much does this just finding your own voice and style play in this success? Yeah. Where does that come in? Are we on the right track with trying to uncover this topic?
Well, it's certainly something I want to encourage everyone, because we do accept now that, animal communication or being able to communicate with animals is a natural ability. So why are we moving away from what's natural to us? And, when we're not being our natural self, as I call it, our true self, one of the things we block is creativity. And I've been finding out that in learning communication or practicing communication with animals, you need creativity. It's a place whereby creativity is a great asset to approach learning. You need creativity to explore different ways to tune into your own intuitive senses, creativity to connect with animals because every animal's different, creativity with asking questions to the animals because not all the questions we ask would be relevant to them or whether they're interested in that. Creativity, particularly when it comes to shifting the human perception so that they can understand it from the animal's perspective. So we need creativity. So we don't want to block that. So let's be natural.
Yeah, and actually creativity is so personal, isn't it? It's not, you can't give that to somebody. It's whatever it comes from within you. And that's, again, really ties right into finding your own personal way. And when you do, you can let everything else go and just go with that because, it's like just talking. You can teach somebody how, a certain accent or a dictation. You can teach them all sorts of things, but really talking is so natural. You do it in your own way, and this is no different. It feels different before you learn it, but it's really no different. It's just as simple. I mentioned that you found your own voice through video. Did it start before then? Tell us how you began finding your own expression and your own voice and how it led to this new way. Oh, did we lose you? Joanne, you're frozen. Well, hopefully she'll get back on. Oh, here she is.
Oh, I'm back.
Okay, great. Did you hear me?
Wi-Fi, but I'm here. I know how to come back now.
Did you hear what I had asked you?
No, please ask again.
I was wondering, I had mentioned the video as something that you're really a proponent of right now because it works so well for you and for many of your students. That wasn't the first thing that you found as part of your path, was it? Can you tell me how did you find your own voice in this, and how did it lead you to what you're currently doing?
Well, it was through perseverance, through my love of wanting to communicate with animals. So I believe that I, connect with those of us who just know inside of us we can do it, but somehow when we want to do it or go to do it, something, we're kind of blocked. So yeah, I did it what, you term and we can term it as a traditional way, where you'd receive the communication and then I would relay it through writing. But what I didn't realize is that writing creatively, so to speak, isn't my strong point. The influences I've had over the years, as growing up and also within my, previous career, my writing style was very much where you had to do a lot of editing. I was always changing it. I was always making sure that the grammar was perfect. So writing really wasn't my biggest strength, but it was the only way that I knew at the time was how I would converse, with the animal's person. And it used to feel as if I couldn't relay or pass on all the information that I received, which I couldn't put into words. Sensations I felt, emotions, expressions that the animal was showing me, even kind of gestures. And so because I was very limited in my writing style, it kind of came out almost like in bullet point. And so I used to feel a little dissatisfied. And also sometimes I felt that when I might have received the feedback from the animal's person, that there was a misunderstanding. I might have said something in a sentence, and really I could have probably expressed that so much more, and then they might have written back and go, oh no, that doesn't, I don't really relate to that. And then I'm thinking, oh no, what I really meant was. So it went from feeling as if, how can I, so I thought I should improve my writing skills. I kind of went down that road, but by chance I actually had a communication from a professional communicator for one of my animals, who did communications through audio. So it would be through Skype, but without the video. And I thought, oh, I didn't realize you could do that. And so that started me thinking. So I started audio recording, but then I found that although I could describe things better, I also felt as if I was a little bit conscious and I couldn't really work the dictaphone. So, the materials that you need to use plays a part as well. So then I thought, oh, well, that's not me for audio. And then for some reason, I think I did follow a communicator who did communications by video. And there's not many that are around who show themselves, put it this way. But this communicator did, and she's quite a high profile on social media. So then that got me interested. I thought, I really like that. Plus, I like talking to the animal's person, because I want to be able to have the kind of conversation that involved the animal's person. So that was my drive, really, to relay the communication from the animal to the animal's person, but open up a conversation. So by writing, it meant 2 or 3 emails, and waiting. It was the waiting period. And then the audio recording really was the same. I would record it, and then I'd send a recording file. Sometimes a person couldn't open the recording file. But there was always that wait in between. But with video calls, it's as if I'm in the same room, because I would love to be able to do in-person communications, but I would be limited by location. So that's how I found the path to doing video calls.
Yeah. And I want to say that waiting period that you're talking about, that's a confidence killer right there. Your mind is just going to go nuts trying to figure out, did I get it right? Why aren't they writing back so quickly? Do they hate what I wrote? Do they think I'm just a fraud? Any number of things. And then you kind of want to hide away, and you never want to do this again. And I've seen it over and over, including going through it myself. And so I can see the advantages of doing something right in the moment where you have interaction with the person and the animal right there.
Yeah.
But was that, like, if I were just to start doing that, I think I would be freaked out, because I'm not, Mr. Public who likes to talk a lot. Here I am talking, but it's not in my nature. And it's, I prefer to just take it slowly and, do it behind the scenes. And it would freak me out to I would think, to do something live in the moment right there. A lot of pressure. Did you find anything like that happening with you, or did you just jump into it and it felt right?
I think, this is about having options and choices. There are still times when it's appropriate for me to do the communications by writing. For example, if the animal's person doesn't want to be on video call. So it is about giving yourself those options. But yes, my preference would be video calls. But yes, I remember my very first one that I decided to try. But because I myself was actually looking for instant feedback. Yes, of course, within seconds, I'll share something that the animal's showing me. But the wait is a microsecond, because, if I'm sharing something about your dog with you, would be within a microsecond that I'd know whether I'm, connected with your dog or not, even if you don't say something, because it will show on your expression. And I want people not to be afraid, because the pressure we feel is no different to pressing send on the email. It's just that you got a longer wait. So when I'm relaying something about your dog and say it doesn't resonate with you, I want every learner and every communicator not to be afraid of that. So if we're not afraid of what's not resonating, because then what you have is an opportunity to go, oh, if you don't resonate with that, okay, can I just check if I've connected with your dog again? So I can go back and reconnect and check, do all the checks that I need to check, and just say to your dog, oh, are you comfortable connecting now? You know, because if I did that in writing and I from the very start doubted whether I've connected with the animal, that's going to be a thread throughout all the other bits of information I'm writing down. So then the doubt just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, so that by the time you finish your transcript, you may not even press send.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I do have some more questions about this for you, but I think I'm going to wait just a little while because we'll get more into this specific topic, because I don't want to make this all about the video, because I know not everybody is comfortable with that. And even if you are open to trying it, maybe it's not right for you. So let's put that aside, and we'll get to that in just a minute, because it does play a big part in this webinar. And you'll see why later. But let's say that this is an option, like you said, which is a great option. What other things can people do right now if let's say they're just starting out, or they've been doing this for a little while and are struggling to find their voice, or to even do this? What kinds of things do you think they can do to start trying to find their own voice and to get closer to this place where they can really start to connect?
Yeah, everyone knows themselves the best. So I say, communicating with animals is the communication style that we are most comfortable with. It's just that sometimes when we say it's communicating with animals, we start to go, oh, communicating with animals, how do I do that? So yeah, if you're a complete beginner, or you've tried and you felt that it hasn't got you anywhere and you're struggling, go back to kind of the place where, say to yourself, how do you best like to communicate generally? Say you're going to meet somebody for the first time. Do you like to get to know them by sending them an email, a letter, a text? Is that how you like to introduce yourself? Is that comfortable? Or are you somebody that likes to pick up the phone, and call and go, hey, hi, this is who I am. I heard about you, and friend, put us in touch, da, da, da. Or actually, are you somebody who just, you know what, I don't want to write, I don't want to phone, I just like to meet. I like to meet you for a coffee and get to know you. So we know what type of, style of getting to know somebody we like, and that's a clue. So if you prefer to write to somebody, then it may be that your first approach with the animal is to say, because it's actually more the relaying of the information that we are more nervous about. Because if we really get to the crux of it, those of us who love animals and really want to communicate with them, we don't really fear communicating with animals. We don't fear animals communicating with us. What we fear is, when I relay it, what does it sound like? Would someone think I'm mad? Would it be wrong? So we can split the two parts. So the relaying is the AC style that I term AC style. So, for this moment, if we really understand that, you suddenly relax about connecting with an animal. So it's the relaying of the information.
Yeah, great point, because splitting it up really sets you free a little, because you're right. It's that part of it. The fear part of it is the relaying. And did I get it wrong? Will they think I'm mad? All that stuff. It's huge. But if you separate that and just do them separately, I think let's focus on the relaying. And that's what you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
How can we get people to figure out their own style in the relaying part? Because that will free them up as well, because they no longer will fear it. It'll feel comfortable for them. And I think it frees them up to do a lot of things, as we'll see. So that's what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And, one of the biggest fear that a lot of us have is that, what if I don't receive anything in that moment?
Right.
So we split the two again. So if it's just you and the animal, there's a favorite term in my group at the moment with the members. Well, if nothing happens straight away, we just hang out with the animal telepathically. Right. no pressure. But if the animal's person in front of you, you suddenly feel pressure because you
Yes.
think, I need to perform. So if you can split
Yeah.
the two, it'll help.
Yeah. You know, that's the same with people, because I've done a lot of, in my writing, I've done a lot of interviewing with people. I've interviewed them, and they are very tense often during the interview process. But when we're done with the questions and we're just wrapping it up and saying thank you, goodbye, boy, do they get chatty. They really get comfortable because they are no longer on the spot. And that's some of the
Yeah.
best information comes in that way. So yeah, I think it works. That's how it works. Anyway, you found your style and you gravitated to video, and you have since been, well, let's back up. A few months ago, as we worked together, you were trying to figure out a way to help your students also embrace the style, or at least try it out and see if it's something that works for them. And so we developed this program on Speak Good Human called Deep Speak, and it utilizes your way of video conferencing with the animal's person and doing live talks with the animal, and that way there's that interaction. And so far, Deep Speak is open to any student out there who is working with a teacher on the site, and that's because it really requires some guidance, I think.
Yes.
Or at least that's the best way to do it, because you could do anybody could connect with anybody with your video at any time. Anybody, and I welcome you guys to try it anytime you want to do that. Go for it. But with a guide like Joanne or another teacher, they're able to sit back and see what's going on and also feel what's going on and guide you in the right direction. And you know, it might be calming your nerves, it might be saying you're doing great, it might be clarifying some things. And so through this process, this Deep Speak program, what it enables you to do is connect. Instead of doing your communication through writing, it is a live chat, just like something like this, where you are connected with the animal's person and the animal, and there can be interaction back and forth. There can be questions. It's not just a whole conversation that you send off and then several days later you get it back. It's, here's what the animal is saying right now, and you can work out things that you could never do through writing in the same way. And so you'll find on Speak Good Human, there's a whole page that's on it. Let's see if I have a, yeah, this is the URL if you want to read about more about that. If you have a teacher already and you would like to utilize this program on Speak Good Human, please feel free to have them stop by and see what it's all about. Basically, it's the animals on Speak Good Human. A lot of them are participating in this Deep Speak program, and you can find which ones are involved by looking at a little icon. I can show you in a little while. But then you work with your teacher like Joanne, and you set up a time to actually talk with the animal's person and have these live conversations. And it sounds like a freak out moment, because how can you possibly do that, especially if you're beginning or you're just learning or whatever, or if you've never done this before. But the breakthroughs that we've seen through this program have been incredible, and not just on the learner side. With the animals' people and their families, there have been incredible breakthroughs, and not just with one animal. It can be a family of animals. They have all kind of gotten in onto these conversations through this method of video, and it's been incredible. And so that's what I'm talking about with a Deep Speak. And let's see, I want you to see one of the learners who has done quite a few of these. Verena, she's from Germany. She's been working with Joanne for a while, but just fairly recently, just in the past couple months, has started doing some video and audio, and you'll hear from her right now about her experience and why it works so well for her. She's not doing it live, but you'll see. I'm going to share a video with you.
Can I just mention something with the DeepSpeak setup? I'm actually there in the video call with the learner and the animal's person. So you're not doing it alone. So, and I check with the animal throughout. The animal is the teacher. So if the animal says something to me to help the learner or the animal's person, then that's my role. So it's quite a miraculous setup.
Yeah. It's, well, yeah, we'll talk more about that. It is very comfortable, and it can, like I said, freak you out at first, but the breakthroughs that come after that will really make you feel like if it's is right for you, like you have found your way. And I have my own story too that I'll tell you soon, but let me share this video here with you. Hello, Verena, and thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Josh. Thank you for giving me the chance to share.
Sure. Yeah, because I know that your path is similar to others, but it's also a little different because, like others, you started with recording your animal communications with just writing it down. Like most of us do that. We write it down and then we send it off for feedback. And we get feedback that way. And that works for a while. It works for a lot of people. But you've discovered a way that has really worked even better for you. And I know you started transitioning into audio and then video. Can you tell me how did you figure out that was really a style that worked better for you?
Well, pretty much from the beginning, I realized that this writing it's not really me. And I thought I had to do it this way because I didn't know, okay, how else could I deliver my messages, And even when I received from other people, when I went to other communicators and I received some written response, for me, it was always difficult to really get the feel of the animal communicator and what they wanted to tell me. Like, I just found it difficult because I couldn't really get the essence from them somehow, because it feels always like it's being a bit edited to sound nice when it's written. It's just a different way of communicating. So when we are writing something down, it's a different language. We would never speak as we write, that would just sound awkward. And so I realized now from the other end, so when I'm delivering the messages, it also doesn't really work for me because I am not a novel writer and, like writing out the whole story. And that's not me, and it's always felt edited, and it also felt like I was going and stopping in the communication because I had to record and then I had to go back in or trying to hold the connection, and was like It just felt cumbersome. And then I started to record it on my phone, and especially when I'm out in nature, that's just what I love, So usually, or I started having the picture on the phone, of the animal that I communicated with, which I'm also still doing. And I started by just connecting, not looking at any questions or anything, because I wanted to be as open as possible, And then I just talked to my phone, so to speak, and just recorded literally what came through. And I could do that while I was still holding the connection and didn't have to stop and then go back in. So that worked and works really well for me. And what I did then, because I realized for me, it's also pretty difficult when, you know, after a day even, or after a week, I have no idea what came through. So I had to listen to the whole thing again, and I realized, well, it's really helpful when after I recorded the communication as an audio, to sit down and just write a summary with some bullet points. So then it was much easier for me when I came back to my bullet points, my summary, to come back to the conversation that I had then, you know, and to remember what happened there. So this still works really well for me. Like when also with the Deep Speak, this amazing program that you are offering there together with Joanne Yeoh at the moment. For me, this is also the first step to connect with the animal at first. So usually, or so far, I haven't done the first connection on the video. The first connection was always prior to that. And then also connecting with the animal's person. So I would then deliver what I got, and then getting some feedback, and that already gave me a different platform for the video call then. And it's also really interesting, all these different formats that you can have, you know, with the audio. And then with the video, I had it either that I recorded a video with Joanne as my mentor without the animal's person present. And that's different again to when I have the animal's person there as well. And it's just amazing, all these different formats, how they work for different things, or they just have it's hard to explain. They have different advantages, let me put it this way. Yeah. And
so did you find that things really advanced for you when you really said, you know, audio is the way, or video is also the way for you? And did you find that you really advanced faster and felt much better about the conversations because you found the style that worked for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing is, which was just the case before, because I recorded a communication just before our call. And as I said, usually I just have the picture and then I see what comes through. And after that, I'm going to look at the questions. And what came through when I looked at the picture was something completely different what I would expect from the question that I read afterwards. And I was even like, I then even recorded, you know, if I had read your question beforehand, it would be different. So now I was even thinking about deleting my recording and starting again, but I don't, you know, because I will see maybe it will be meaningful to the animal's person. Yeah.
Well, I would think that, especially since it's your style to do the video and the audio, and it's a really more of a free-flowing, it gives you much more freedom, and it's sort of like email versus a phone call or a video call. Like you said, the email kind of stops and starts. You can't really look how many miscommunications there are through email, because people don't really,
absolutely,
you don't get. So when you're communicating with the animal, you're listening, you're feeling, you're seeing, and then when you're giving feedback to the animal's person and they're giving feedback to you, you can catch all those cues that they're giving you, the facial expressions, the emotions. It's just so much more full-bodied. It's like this richer experience that you can tap into. And I mean, not everybody can do it that way, but since you are doing it that way, wow, what a great experience. So much better. I can see why it would be better.
Absolutely. And I think like from a receiving point, for example, when I can see someone or I can hear someone, I have a very much of a different connection than when I just read the words. You know, as you said, you get all these clues, and it's easier to put things in perspective. There's much more guessing, for me at least, when I'm reading something, it's much more of a guessing game than when I have more feedback, as in the sound of the voice, or just how they, when I see them, what's happening with their face and everything. Mm-hmm. So definitely.
And what about your confidence level? Did that tap you into the style? Did it do anything for your confidence? Because confidence, as soon as you get the confidence, it sort of unleashes the rest of you, and you advance even further. Because did that happen for you?
Well, it did happen. I don't know if it was because of my audios or the videos or whatever, but for sure it was about the practice, to just do more and more and more, you know, like, as I said before, I had this thought, should I delete it? You know, what I got, because maybe it's wrong. Mm-hmm. And through all these communications, I realized, well, there is no wrong, there's just different, you know? And being able to just go with what comes, even if it might not feel right 100%. So with the practice, definitely my confidence grew. And what I also find interesting, sorry, I have a problem today with this word, interesting. I don't know why. When I'm live with the animals person, often there is also some shift happening. And I mean, you know, when I'm sending off my audio or sending off just a video without having the person live there, I don't know what's happening in the instant when the animals person is receiving it. But when I'm there live, like we are now, I get a sense what's happening, and there's often something shifting, and that's also what I find fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no replacing that live interaction and the feedback you get instantly, rather than writing something out, sending it in, and waiting, and then often during that waiting period, that's when your confidence takes a dive, because you start thinking, well, maybe I didn't get anything right, or maybe all that stuff. It just
absolutely
yeah. I would think that a lot of people would really, they may not feel comfortable at first doing what you're doing, but I think we might all be capable of doing things like this, and being more comfortable with it really will open up all of us to a much deeper experience. And that's what Deep Speak is all about. And I'm so glad you found your style and your way.
Yeah. And, you know, just when you were saying that, I think, you know, I'm not really comfortable with it. I'm always excited, and I'm so not comfortable with not with the audios, not with the videos, but I'm doing it anyway. You know, there is not really a need to be comfortable with it. That's what I find so interesting. Okay. We just have to do it, and then we get feedback.
Yep. And the feedback you're getting is good, so you know you're on the right track.
Yeah, it's always helpful. It's always helpful.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Verena, for sharing your side of the story. It's great that you're on this path, and I'm really glad that you found your way.
Well, thank you, really, Josh. Thank you so much for giving me the chance, you know, with this conversation now, and with everything you're doing, you know, with your labor of love. And it's a lot of labor and energy that you're putting in there, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Just me myself was just getting worked up trying to keep my eyes on two cats at this.
That'll be your next one. A little preview of what's coming up. So, Joanne, you know, Verena has not, she didn't start doing this very long ago. And most of your students actually haven't started that long ago. And if I were to walk in the door and see them doing stuff like this, I would have thought, oh, they've been doing this for several years. And that's just not the case. Tell me how are things going with your students? So what's happening with this program, and how are you introducing it to them? You know, I'm interested to know, because I know a lot of people probably would be nervous about trying to do something like this.
Yeah, well, one of the things I'm good at is gently nudging, and also creating a sense of excitement about learning and about exploring and about being curious and knowing that nothing you're going to do is wrong, because when you're learning within the setup that, you know, we've created within DeepSpeak, you are supported throughout. Plus also the animals person is very supportive of the learner's, you know, journey. So yeah, you're going to be nervous. I can't take nervousness away. But if I can incite enough excitement and interest, then I think those are the two kind of fuel. And what we do within the group is that whenever a learner does do a DeepSpeak, it's recorded, and we have the permission from the animals person that we can share the recording, you know, within the group. And everybody gets to see the interaction. They get to see that the learner can start off maybe, you know, nervous or stumbling, and they can see that I can step in at any point that I feel that the learner needs, but I also am able to step back and allow the process to happen. You know, I'm there to also support the animals person if, you know, we were discussing a sensitive topic. And so you're not alone. I think that's the thing. And within the group, you get to trust me. I think that's a lot to do with it. You know, if you trust your teacher, if you really, you know, understand that you're not going to be set up for failure, but set up for success. And we define success as having light bulb moments, not that you've got everything right or that you got top marks. It's about what did you get out of it? Because what you get out of it, you can take to your next one, to your next one. So I'm there. So if you feel nervous, then I say embrace the nervousness. I'm not going to tell you to wait till you're confident to do it. I just tell you, I'm going to be there to hold your hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say I've done 2 of these, not fully live readings. They've been more so I sent in my communication, and I was getting feedback live, and you were there with me, and you nudged me gently just to kind of, is the animal saying anything else to you now? And that's the part that would normally freak me out, and I'm most nervous about. But it's also the number one thing that I want to be able to do. I've said this to myself for so long. I want to be able to hear an animal in the moment. And so far that hasn't really happened too much. You know, if I go down the street and I see a dog, I want to be able to communicate with that dog and my own dog. Mm-hmm. But what I learned from my last video call, which was I was expecting to hear the voices from the animals as I would hear a human talk to me. And that is not what has happened to me. And that's not what happened during the video call. What happened was, it was a knowing. And knowing is, I guess, one of my superpowers. Just like anybody has their own strengths, that's, I guess, one of my strengths is like a knowing in me. It's not a voice in my head, it's a knowing. And so I was able to know certain things that the animal wanted me to know. And that was my aha moment, is that it didn't have to look like what Verena goes through or anybody else. It looks like what I go through, and it works. So I'm looking forward to exploring that more.
Yeah. And also what happens in the communication is that I say, expect the animal to give you jigsaw pieces. You know, information will come through in lots of jigsaw pieces that you don't know how you're going to fit it together. So when you have the animals person with you live there and then, together, it's teamwork. The animal gives you jigsaw pieces, the communicator hands the jigsaw pieces over to the animal's person, and then together we start to piece a picture together, and then they go, oh, that's what this animal needs, and that's what this animal's not happy about, or that's what this animal wants to say. You know, so as a communicator, you don't have to have the responsibility, nor should you be the person to analyze the information or to try and make sense of it. Some of the information may come very easily, you know, identifiable, and there will be some information where it's a snapshot of this, a sound there, a smell there, you know, and together, because there have been so many, and all of us know this who've connected with animals, we've all received random pieces of information. But when you're saying on your own, if you're in a room on your own and you just get something that you think, I don't understand what that is, you then have to find the courage to put it in writing and send it off, and then wait maybe 2 or 3 days or a week, and then even might not have a reference to it. But say I'm live with you now, I'll go, look, I just got this. Does it mean anything? And you might go, oh, I know exactly what that's about. And the minute you say that, I'll go, and I learn to trust these pieces of information more and more and more. Now, you could also say, no, that doesn't mean anything to me, and then we just move on. But I'm not receiving something in writing saying that doesn't mean anything to me, and then I hold on to it. But that's my personality. Okay.
Yeah. So let's say you have a student or anybody out there who hasn't done much of this or any of it so far in any kind of communication, and they may be stuck and thinking, I can't do this, or I haven't heard, the animals aren't talking to me, or I can't hear them. Would you still recommend something like this, or how would you introduce starting to try this program or this method to somebody like that?
Well, I think it's number one, are they comfortable with video calls? That would be my starting point. So I'm not going to say, oh, every beginner needs to start with, you know, the writing and then move up to audio. It's not about steps. Number one is, are you comfortable with video? Because if you're not, then it's really, don't force yourself. You know, it's the same with if you're not comfortable with writing, then don't force yourself. So if you're really far more comfortable on a video, then the way to start is, well, you would need some foundation with knowing how to connect with an animal. So the video call is really more how you relay the information. So again, it's two separate things. So let's say we take a beginner who is familiar with connecting with an animal, and they're also really comfortable with video. They've got a background with always doing, you know, video calls with their friends or at work, and it's just a medium that they're really comfortable with, and they like interacting with, you know, the person. Then I would say I would be very happy to set a session up, and I like to work with what's natural. So unless I'm able to observe the interaction, I wouldn't know how to really guide you properly. So because I want to work with that individual.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And that's why I said before is, yeah, anybody can set one of these up, but having somebody on the sidelines guiding you, it really does give you confidence. It helps you hone your skill. It helps you go in the right direction, and makes it a lot more comfortable. So I think what I'd like to do is introduce Piedad. She's one of your students as well, and she's had some incredible experiences and really kind of thrown herself into this. And, you know, it doesn't mean she was fearless about it, but I think she was half the time fearless about it. But she's had some great experiences. I'm going to bring her on right now. She's live. Piedad is from Spain, and here she is. Hello, Piedad. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this beautiful party. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Thank you very much. Glad to be.
You've done quite a few of these so far, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. it started timidly, but I'm already jumped into it, and I just love it. I just love it. I'm very passionate about animal communication. I owe everything to Joanne, and I have experienced such beautiful things thanks to you also and Deep Speak, that I'm a great fan. I love video calls. I love AC, and it's my passion right now. I just love it.
Yeah. What I know, you've had some kind of surprising experiences so far, because that you wouldn't have expected. You think you're just kind of connecting with an animal and you're relaying the information to the person. Can you tell us some of the really kind of breakthrough things that have happened on both sides?
Yeah, well, I have had three of the most moving and impressive stories for me. The first one was with Bella and Marie's dog, because I connected her in the summer with your summer challenge, and she was a really sad dog at the time. And then when the Deep Speak program started, I saw her that she was there, and I said, "Oh my God, this is my opportunity to talk to her again." And then it was beautiful, because I had my first conversation by email, then we had a video call, and it was really, really, really beautiful. We went deep into her. I think that we helped her a lot. I say we because although I was the communicator, Joanne was always with me by my side, guiding me and me whenever I needed. That was my first Deep Speak experience that really mattered. Then I had the second one, which is I keep in my heart deeply, which was with Peppa and her dogs Tally and Hopper. Tally called me from the Deep Speak section saying, "Hey, Piedad, please, we need your help." And then I connected with her. The first video call we had was very tough because Tally was blocked, and then Joanne made some suggestions that really helped me to go through again. And with the period between the first and the second video call, a lot of changes happened, and it was amazing. It was amazing because, well, we'll know more about that, I know. So it was really, really beautiful. I felt so good. I had made a difference. I had helped a family that was struggling to very hard times, and then, well, so it was amazing. And the last one was really also really special, because I started searching for an animal on the Deep Speak section that was trying to call my attention. I saw a cat, but I thought, well, apparently this cat has no important problem, so maybe I should find some with more relevant issues. And then I found a dog, but I thought, oh, what about the cat? I let her down. Or let him down. I should try to help him. And then it led to another cat, and then to another dog, which turned out to be all of the same family. So we had a family therapy all together, and there were also relevant changes, and a lot of things happened. So it was amazing, because how we all ended up together, working together to try to fix some issues and make the relationship between them and their humans better. So for me, it's been awesome. I have had my excitement, my time of being nervous, but obviously, as you said before, having Joanne by your side, supporting you if you get stuck because all of a sudden you can't come to anything because the animal is blocked, and she always has a different angle that you can use, and then that you can move on and do something beautiful. So yeah, I recommend it to everybody. I'm a big fan. I love your website. It's amazing, and I love the Deep Speak section, and of course I'm Joanne and the group. We we have, because it's we have all the support, all the learning experiences we need. So it's great.
Yeah, you know what I like, Piedad, is, I mean, I don't know if Joanne expected to see such results from a lot of these conversations. I know she's had her own, but you know, some of these things are bordering on miraculous, it seems. But it really, you can't do this stuff through writing. It's simply not the same experience. And some of my favorite points of my animal communication journey have been when I've had back and forth with people, and we're able to, things get uncovered and different animals get involved, and this story gets revealed that nobody would have expected at first. And I think with Deep Speak and with video like this, that just happens almost every time. It seems that it happens in such a cool way that it's so fulfilling. It becomes so fulfilling for the communicator and for the animal's family and the animal, because you're all there and all this stuff is just out in the open and comfortable. And we're going to hear from Elizabeth Pepper, who you one of the stories you talked about, and I'm going to have her tell her side of the story, because it started out with one of her dogs and ended up including her other dog. And I just, it's amazing how this stuff happens.
Yeah. I have some cold dog magnet for family affairs, I think, because this happens to me quite often. But the person is very, very important. The animal communicating with the animal, but the animal has a person. And the relationship between the animal and the person really matters. So the animal is not having an issue or having a problem on his own. Normally, there is something going on that affects all the family. So it's very important to have the person there, check the emotions, how they feel about it. If they're not sure, you have to check with the animal so that they see that you're relaying what the animal is saying, that it's not you having ideas about what you think should do. It's about the animal version, and interacting with the person is really, really important, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it takes things up to such a level, because it's no longer just practicing, you know, here's what the dog likes to eat or what the cat likes to do or favorite people. It takes it up to a level that is actually really important. This is all about having a better relationship with your family, and really it's such a different level when you get involved in this way, and it just makes it so great. Joanne, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, it's about having a conversation, and conversations need to be 2 ways or 3 ways, depending how many members of the family is involved, whether it's 2 or 3 animal companions, whether it's 2 humans. So that's the beauty of being able to have that interaction, because, and there's something about, and I know you've mentioned this, but there is something about being.
Uh-oh, we got frozen again.
Yeah.
Piedad, I was going to ask, so your style, I know you still do some writing, and the conversations in writing as well as this. Has this helped you find your voice and your style? What do you prefer these days?
Well, one thing is relaying the first conversation with an animal is just to keep in touch and to get to know each other. So I like also this part of reflection on their personality, their characteristics, and having written what I see, what I feel, this first impression. But obviously, when you go deeper into the conversation and you are dealing with the energy of the family and everything, it's something very, very different. So you have the opportunity to check with the animal live, as you have said, and you have also experienced. And this is amazing because, of course, at the beginning, I also thought, I can't do that live. How on earth am I going to connect with the animal while the person is watching? And oh my God, I can't do that. But you can. And the more you do it, the more you trust, the more confident you become, because you start to believe that you have the abilities, that you have to open your mind, your heart, and on everything you have, put it all in the basket and then start communicating. It's just as simple as that. I'm not special. I mean, I'm like everybody else. And just I jumped into it because I had, as you said, I had no fear.
Yeah.
Why? Because I didn't have any pressure. I just enjoyed. I just love it. So for me, it was okay. There we go, and this is it.
Yeah.
We have Joanne back.
I'm back.
Okay, Joanne. Well, do you have anything to add, Joanne? Otherwise, I'm going to bring Pepper in.
Bring Pepper in. I'm really looking forward to meeting Pepper again, hearing her story.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna replace you with Pepper. I have 3 spots on the screen, but I want to have Piedad on there as well in case they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we go. This is Pepper, Elizabeth Pepper.
Hello.
Thank you for joining.
Down at the bottom, so it's kind of an awkward angle.
Oh, that's okay. So you are not a communicator necessarily yet, or I don't know if you're learning, but you have some animals on the Speak Good Human site, and your dad has talked with them. However, it started out with just talking to one of them, and then it ended up being this incredible interaction between the whole family. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I have 2 dogs, and they're both on the Speak Good Human site. And I guess to give you some background, I had adopted one dog, and she was awesome, super friendly, no issues. And then I sort of just ended up with the second dog about a year later. And over time, I just noticed like my first dog and my second dog both just became super dog reactive. They started having some issues. I started working with a trainer, and it just wasn't going well. And I guess right around that time is when Tally reached out to Piedad, and Piedad communicated with her and reached out to me and asked if I would be willing to do the deep speak. And so we set up an appointment, and she took the time and she connected with Tally, and we started, like, at first it was just like basic things that we were talking about. And then as we got further and further into it, it was just really interesting because Piedad started picking up on some issues between my dogs that I didn't necessarily know that they even existed. And they weren't even, like, it wasn't that my dogs weren't getting along, but my first dog, Tally, was just so, I guess protective is not quite the right word, but kind of protective over Hopper. And she didn't want to create conflict, and so she was just basically keeping all of these feelings and all of these emotions just bottled up inside of her, and she wouldn't let them out. And so that's the block that Piedad was talking about. Is we went through this first video call, and we just couldn't, and by we I mean Piedad and Joanne. I was, they were talking to me, but it was definitely they were the ones putting in the work. And Tally just wouldn't let go of what that was. And so we took a break. And in that time, they had talked to Tally, and we decided that they were going to connect with Hopper during, I think we took like a week and a half in between the first call and the second call. And then we were going to reconnect again a second time. And it was actually pretty remarkable what happened in between those 2 calls. So I sent a picture of my other dog, Hopper, so that they could talk to her and kind of get a sense of what was going on. And Piedad connected with her. I think she and I emailed back and forth once or twice, and it was really remarkable. Pretty much almost instantly, I started seeing like Tally was more relaxed, Hopper was more relaxed. And then we had the second call, and Piedad found out that essentially Tally was just so worried about causing conflict and causing strife. And once we worked through that, I remember Piedad saying that her energy was just so much healthier and so much cleaner, and Hopper, her energy was so much, sorry, there's a bug, so much cleaner and so much more relaxed. And really since then, it's been like night and day with my dogs. I can take them for walks. We don't have these huge blow-ups every time we see another dog on the street. Like, it's really incredible, and they're both so much happier.
That's amazing, because you would expect to hear these kinds of results with professional communicators, like in a professional practice. This probably happens all the time, because that's exactly what they do. And students don't often get to be involved in such transformations. And it's just great that this whole thing happened like this, and something so unexpected that, I mean, I would never have guessed that one dog would have brought another dog into it, and the dynamics of the family kind of would just get smoothed out, because just from communication, that's all it is.
Yeah, it was truly remarkable. I think they're coming to join us, actually.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, and it, like, once she started explaining everything, like, it was something that
I figured out a way to add you in.
Like, it made sense to me that Tally would be, she is a very sensitive dog, and she really makes an effort to make sure that everyone is happy. So when Piedad started making the connection between her relation, like Tally's relationship with Hopper, it just made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, based on Joanne, I think you need to unmute yourself if you want to say something. But do you have anything to add to the story? Because you were sort of the bystander on all this. Was this an unusual kind of experience based on?
Yeah.
Oh no, we frozen again? Oh, the Wi-Fi in the UK. Oh, maybe she'll come back.
Just about coming back. Oh, I'm back. I have to speak really quickly before my. Well, all I can say is that it was to do with, how open, Pepper, you were with the communication. It was a very sensitive subject, and I think if it was in writing, it wouldn't have had the same, I suppose, the same level of interaction and engagement, because there were a couple of times when we were working through with Tally what she wanted to say, and I could see that it was quite quite difficult for you because it was emotional. But because Piedad and I were there, we could support you. We could actually allow you to say things to Tally as well, things you wanted to explain to her. So that was really what the magic was, that Tally had her mum there, had Hopper there, had the communicator there, and we were all, our intention was just all with the dogs, with the focused on the.
Uh-oh. She didn't speak fast enough. Well, hopefully she'll be back. She's gonna come back.
I'm back.
Okay. Yay.
I have to do snapshots. Yeah, I can't remember where I stopped saying, but it was about how, when everybody is in the room together, the animal loves it. The animal loves that their person who is significant in their life and the communicator are all, using that moment to really understand an issue.
Yeah, and I was mentioning before is that you would expect to see this kind of stuff in a professional practice. You probably experience it all the time with your clients, but somebody who's not in say an advanced class in animal communication probably wouldn't expect to be able to even be involved in something so cool. But here they are. Yeah. Piedad has only been doing this for half a year or so. I don't know. not very long.
I actually believe that, you know, as long as you have that desire to be curious about how the process of animal communication works, and you have somebody with you that has the experience and knows how to support you at any point in your learning, you can try this. So don't wait and think, oh, I have to do this, and then I'll do that. You know, if you like video calls, it's about the modality of it. If you're very comfortable with video calls, if you like the interaction, if you like the conversation, if you're curious about, you know, whether what it's like to connect with an animal instantly, then don't wait.
Yeah. I'll just make one more comment about this. And we're talking a lot about the video calls and the video style not because it's the only way or the best way. It's just for me, a very surprising way. After 5 years of doing Speak Good Human, it was a surprising way to really see some great advancement and results that I just didn't expect. And I love having this part of the site now as an option for those working with a teacher, because it just, you know, I mean, you see so far 2 students and an animal mom they love what happened, and so do I. And so I just want to say that for anyone out there who's saying, okay, enough of the video stuff. Yeah, we're not only focused on that. We welcome all styles and all questions about all styles, but we're focused on this because it really is a great option for a lot of people, and something that you might explore if you haven't found your voice yet. So, Pepper, anything else to add?
Yeah, I just want to mention actually about the video, ironically. I have to echo what you and Joanne and what Piedad are all saying. I don't know that conversation that I guess 5 of us all had together, it wouldn't have been possible, I don't even think at all, if it was over a written communication or anything like that, because what Tally and Hopper and Piedad and Joanne and I were talking about was so deep and intricate and sensitive, and pretty emotional. And first of all, that emotion wouldn't have come out over over like written word. And I don't know that we would have, without having the live back and forth conversation that we were having, we wouldn't have been able to ask the right questions to get to where we needed to get in order to see the results and the changes and all the positive things that came out of it. I don't know that would have happened if it wasn't live in some way, whether it was face-to-face, over video, something like that. It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, I doubt it would have happened either. And I'll reiterate, what an experience for a learner to go through something like that and come out and feel like they really made a difference. It adds so much depth and value to what you're doing. You could go along for years struggling with animal communication and, you know, sending in your communication every few months or however much you practice, and you may not really make that connection. You may feel like, I'm still not getting this. But when you connect in this way and you get these kinds of results, it not only makes your day, it makes your year, it makes you feel like you have finally found your purpose. And really, there's no replacement for it. So I'm so glad that you guys have experienced this, and thank you for joining us today, Pepper. And
thank you.
Really appreciate having you on here. And I think, well, I'll say goodbye to you, and then I'm going to introduce Carol.
Okay, thank you guys.
Bye, Pepper.
Okay, so I want to also put on here, Carol is another pet parent or guardian who has been involved in Deep Speak and has miraculously had a similar story, and also with Piedad. She's a superstar. So she wasn't able to join us here today live, but I have another quick video of her, and she's telling her side of the story about what happened with her animals. And again, it started with one of her animals and really turned out to be something much more than that with her other animals, as well as her own style that really helped transform. And this couldn't have happened through writing. It just couldn't have. So let me share my screen here again. Hold on here.
At the same time. But now,
Carol, start that over here. Hi, Carol. Thank you for joining me today. And I understand that you have a unique perspective because you were on the receiving end of a communication with one of your, and it kind of snowballed from there. It turned into something that nobody expected and kind of transformed the dynamics of your family. Can you tell me, you had your first conversation was with Piedad and Romeo, I think. Romeo's your dog. Tell me about how that started and where it went from there.
Well, Piedad saw Romeo, and she told me he reached out to her. But then when she went to talk to him, he really didn't have much to say. And so then she looked some more. And then actually, I believe it was my cat, Joey, who reached out to her. And then she realized they were all from the same family. And like you said, it kind of snowballed. The cat, I have 2 cats that she spoke to. They are new to my family. They've been in my family only for 1 year. And so my 2 dogs, I have 2 dogs as well. It's just been a really edgy household for the last year. Both of the cats were brought in as fosters, and I ended up adopting them. But so I didn't know either one of their history, the cats' history, where they came from. But I didn't, and I bought my dogs as puppies also from the same litter, but I didn't really know much about them. And oh my goodness, Piedad opened my eyes on them. Because when people come around, they just go off the deep end barking. But she explained a lot of that to me as they were puppies and taken away and they from their mother. But now, oh my gosh, my household is not near as, it's a lot more calmer. There's a lot more harmony here with all of the animals together. And it's been a wonderful, it's just been wonderful now that I understand where each of the animals are coming from.
So do you feel like the problems things have smoothed out simply because you all understand each other more and they feel heard now, or did you actually implement any changes?
Well, another thing is Piedad told me that the cats wanted me to trust them because they're because I lost a cat before from going outside, and so I've got my cats and I'll let them out, but was watching them, and just me myself is just getting so worked up trying to keep my eyes on 2 cats at the same time. But now she told me that the cat said just trust them, and so I started doing that, and it's been great because I'm not worried. I'm not worked up, and they're staying in my yard, so that helps with me. So I think it helped me a lot to just
give them the
work
space.
with the animals.
Yes. And so you did some shifting. They probably did some shifting, and now all of you are heard, and so the tension is gone.
Yes, a lot of it's gone. Yeah.
What do you feel like? You've had other conversations sent to you through writing. how does that compare to this experience with video?
With the video being live, if an answer came up, I could ask a follow-up question, or also the communicator could ask me if I went into, if they gave me some information from my pet and I could explain on that to them. I could do that in writing as well, but then they may have a follow-up question as well to go along with that. So I think live is really wonderful if you can get that put together.
Yeah. Was that something that was a little nerve-wracking to think about at first to do a video?
Oh no, not for me. The time worked out really great because she was able to do it on a Saturday. I mean, I do work during the week, so working on a Saturday, it worked for me. Okay,
great. Well, I'm so glad you had such a positive experience and your family is moving along so well now. Hopefully they'll be back to this.
Yes, it was really great, and I really would recommend it for anybody. I hope the communicators, I think it's good for them as well.
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you so much for joining me today. And when this all comes together, you can see it all happen at once.
Yes. Thank you so much for allowing me. This is a wonderful program and sure brings a lot. If you've never even, just the whole communication is totally awesome. Yeah. But again, thank you for letting me be a part of this.
You're welcome. Okay. I know we're getting a little long here. We've been going at it for a while, and if you're still with us, maybe you don't have anything better to do and you're fine. But we're getting there. We're almost done with what I wanted to present. Make sure you get the full picture. Joanne or Piedad, anything you want to add to what we've done so far?
Nope, I think it's all I think I think what I would like, for this is really to just allow people to consider it as an option. It's not to say it's the best way or the way. It's very much to say, well, it's one way to consider it if you would like the type of interaction, with the animal and the animal's person that we're giving examples of.
Yeah. And Piedad, should I release you from your on-screen duties, or do you have anything else to add?
No, just thank you for inviting me and have given me the opportunity to talk about my stories, because I love my learning journey in animal communication, and I'm really glad to share it with everybody. So thank you, both of you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye. I have a couple more questions, Joanne, but I think let me just show everybody where to find DeepSpeak, and then maybe you can tell what the first steps would be if somebody wanted to explore some of this. Then how would they do that?
Sure.
So let me see what I can do here. So DeepSpeak, you'll see here's the Speak Good Human site. And you'll find it under, if you want information about it, go under Practice menu, all the way down to Guided Practice, and then DeepSpeak. And that'll tell you a little more about the program. And if you are a teacher, there's information there. If you're just a student, there's information there. And you can find out how it works and how to get involved. At this point, the best way that it works is with the guidance of a teacher. And at this point, Joanne is the only teacher who's signed on to consult and guide students through this. And it's through her Confidence Booster group that she does this. And that is a paid for group. It's part of her training program, but it's a very reasonable price. And in just a second, I'm going to tell you how to get a free month of that. And you can already get your first deep speak in if you want to start that, or if you just want to ease into other things, she can do that too. So back to this, if you see, if you go to the animals page, this is where all the practice animals are. Just make sure that it's just loading here. There's these tabs here, the filter tabs, and if you press deep speak, it'll filter to all the animals that are currently signed up for the deep speak program. So let's say you are working with Joanne. You could choose any of these animals to speak with on video, or a combination of writing and video or audio. And so the way it might work, let's say you wanted to speak with Christy over here, you click Christy, and up in the corner you'll see deep speak. That means this animal is definitely in the program. And you should also see a little emblem that says where they are. So that's important, because if you are in a time zone that just simply won't work to speak with somebody in Europe, then maybe you'd want to speak with a different animal. And one more thing while we're here, if you go over to teachers and down to practice dens, and you'll see that Joanne has a practice den here. And if you go over there, you can click and see, learn a little more about who she is and her style. She's got some really great tips on this page as well. And you'll see right in this area as well, this is how you get your free coupon code. And just click on the link, and there's no obligation. She'll send you a coupon code. There's no sales, anything. It's simply, here is an invitation to join her group for a month and see what it's all about. She has a lot of stuff. You don't even have to interact with anyone if you don't want to. She has that much information that's already there. But with her guidance, I think she could really ease you into anything you want to do. It doesn't have to be deep speak or video, but I've just personally seen lots and lots of learners get on there and really have breakthroughs right away. And it's because it's building your confidence, and so important. Anyway, so Joanne, how would somebody start? What would their first steps be? What if they haven't done this before, or what do you think is their first step to getting involved in this way?
Well, I think if they're a complete beginner, then absolutely please use the information that's on the Speak Good Human website. The resource there is just wonderful. So start there. Because outside of the practice den, there are also other animals that you can do questions and answers, or you can do freestyle. So I would just find and navigate your way, read books, watch videos, but anything and everything you need to read about is actually on this site. And, I wish I knew about it when I was learning, but looking at it from, my perspective now as a professional, I would absolutely recommend it. So if you're complete novice, you've never done anything, just take your time and just browse through all the information that's there. I'm also a great believer in learning without studying. So just read, absorb, let it sink into your subconscious. Don't try and study it. So once you kind of get yourself familiar with the information that's on there, and you look at what's available, then if you would like to work with me, you can communicate or just contact me through that coupon code. So through that coupon code, if you click on it, I will receive an email. And like Josh says, it's no obligation. You can have 30 days, browsing through the group. There's also another resource site that you can just watch I've got about 40 bite-sized videos. So I really am somebody that says, just watch those videos. Don't think you have to study it, because even if you just watched it once and you haven't learned it, it will be in your energy field. But yeah, when you apply for the coupon code, I get an email. I will correspond with you. I'll ask you where you're at. Already the guidance will start at that point. If you want to join the Deep Speak, then it takes you to a different level of membership. But just entry level, just to get to know me, how I work, get to know what I offer, what the group can offer you. You have 30 days to try it out.
Great. I think since we're getting where it's kind of late, let's see if there's any questions from people.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think there's like somebody says, how would you actually do it? Do you have the animal in view in the video call, or is it a photo?
Good question. You connect with the animal using a photo. So that the same. And so you'll have the photo with you. You'd have made, there will be some preparation. So you connect with the animal, you ask permission, everything that you would be doing. And then when you come on live, you can keep the photograph with you, and you're interacting with the animal's person in the sense that you're relaying the information that you're receiving. But you're still, a lot of the times, once we've connected with the animal, you don't have to keep looking at the photograph. Sometimes, often the animal will join in. They'll be there, and you can use that to also connect with as well. But yeah, you would just connect, naturally. As we're talking tonight, actually, what's kind of been revealed to me is we might be focusing too much on the fact that it's video, but actually, when we look at maybe originally before the internet, when we were communicating with animals, we would be there in person with them. Mm-hmm. And the animal's person, we're talking about domestic animals, and the animal's person would be there too. We may have one-to-one time with the animal, maybe to a side, and then we'll go and report it, say, to the animal's person. So video call is just a replacement because it means you're not bound by location. I mean, I never would have communicated with animals all over the world if it weren't for video calls, because I'll be limited by, so really, if your preference is communicating with animals in person and relaying it to the animal's person in person, then video call is just a medium.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because it's so true. And I haven't really thought about that. But when I first started getting introduced to animal communication, it was all through usually an interview on TV. A communicator is getting interviewed and they're doing like a live reading. And I would always think, oh, that's incredible. There's no way I'm going to ever be able to do that. But that is how this is happening. And we've kind of been removed from it a little more with the distance. Everybody does it online. But as we've seen, getting back to that personal interaction really does wonders.
We've just saved the best nugget.
Yeah.
An hour and 43 minutes into the...
Well, that's how it works,
It's great, isn't it? Even I've just tweaked.
Yeah. This question is animal communication all about your own imaginations and what you feel personally? You don't necessarily have to. I know this can be a lengthy answer. I will say before, if you do have anything to say, great. I also will say, I think on the Ask the Pros page on the site, they probably do have that answered somewhere, because that is a typical question. You're not alone with that. It's something that we all wonder. But anything to add to that, Joan?
Yeah, I can do a very short answer to that, and then you can explore it later. You need your imagination. Yes. So it's not about your imagination, but you need it. So many learners, especially me at the very beginning, used to dismiss it. So if you find yourself saying, I'm sure I imagined it, so therefore it can't be, I want you to stop saying that. You need to use it. So it doesn't mean it's yours, but you need to use it.
Yeah, I learned that, I'll say, the hard way. I mean, it took a while, because like everybody, we're all thinking, well, I'm making this stuff up. It's just not real. It's all in my head. But that's the place to start. It's the connector to somehow.
Imagination is the gateway to your intuition.
Yeah.
So don't block it.
I do focus about this subject a lot on my site in various ways. So explore that, and you'll maybe understand it a little more, and then just start using your own imagination to do this stuff. Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to have a question that we haven't covered? I think we might have covered everything that anybody asked. There was a lot of great comments. I appreciate everybody showing up and having so many great comments. I can show a few of them.
Ah. Hey, Jane. Hi, Lauren. Ah, Lynn.
We know a lot of these names.
Hi, Lucinda.
Oh, there's another one there.
See, we all like feedback.
Yeah. So now you want to learn? We all do. So I would highly recommend it. And I don't get anything from promoting Joanne. My whole site is about learning, and I'm here to help you get to your next level, however that is. And I wouldn't be recommending resources that I didn't believe in. And I realize that not everything is for everybody, but I love Joanne and what she does, and she is 100% behind you when she commits to your journey. And that's why I feel comfortable saying, if you're looking for somebody to learn, go to Joanne. She'll help you out, and you have 30 days to explore it, and it's awesome. Here's another one from Cape Town.
Hi, Albie. Oh, wow. Hi, Anne-Marie. Oh, it's lovely to hear from
I think Anne-Marie, she's also done some deep speak, haven't you?
Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
It's so great to see so many people from all over the world.
Yes. This is the beauty of telepathy.
Yep.
Hey, hi, Rita. Yes, I did say in my Facebook post, this is not going to be a quick one because we're not going to rush it. So
no,
there's so much information. We just want people to take something away, from what we're sharing.
Yeah, and I figured normally I wouldn't want to extend it to be this long, but we're all kind of in limbo these days with the weird stuff that's going on, and maybe you have time to just sit down and enjoy some good information, and if you don't, then don't, but it might be something exactly that you need. Get off of Netflix and watch something like this.
Yes.
Yeah, Sandy is saying she'd love to do this and gain some confidence. And I always say your confidence builder group, that's what it's named. It's the perfect name because you are supporting how they work internally, how they work. And you're not trying to push your techniques and your style and your way of doing things on them or saying this is the only way. You're looking at how they work and how best they might move forward. And sometimes that's hard to see from the inside, and you need a third person to say, this is what I'm seeing, try this.
Yeah. And the key is, do you feel excited? Do you look forward to? Are you, do you feel joy when you're wanting to connect with animals, or do you feel dread, or are you worried? Because I want it to be the former. I want it so that you feel excited. Yes, a little bit nervous. Yes, a little bit of trepidation. That's normal. But ultimately, as we've seen with Peer Dad, to know that you have given value by representing the animal and helping an animal and their person to restore harmony, that feeling is a really strong one.
Yeah. Here's one more.
What about connected? Is that with relations to video calls? Well, I'll answer it with relation to video calls. You can, I mean, again, it's a choice. It's a choice. With the video calls, you can, it's the same as connecting with living animals. There are advantages to that because it means that, because it can be a highly emotional communication. I'm there to support the animal's person. So when I'm relaying information from the animal in spirit to the person and it's, you know, emotional or painful, then I can be there to support the person as well in understanding. And it means that the animal's person there and then can just ask as many questions as they need in that time. So it can be a very supportive process. Some people prefer communications for the animals in spirit in writing because they need time to process the information. So always remember it's about options.
Okay. There's one more who just came in.
Kirsty. Yes. Oh, thank you for joining and watching it, Kirsty.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I will put on. This is where to go. Right down here. This speakgoodhuman.tk, or it's the same URL as talktoanimals.weebly.com, and you just go to Joanne Practice Den, and she can get you a coupon code there. Or if you're not ready for that, you can, you know, it'll be there for you whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
And I just recommend start practicing, you know, before you get enmeshed in anybody's process, anybody's techniques. Sure, learn some. I have a lot on my site. There's lots of things to try, but start practicing, and not just practicing in private. I mean, practicing with an animal, having a conversation or an experience or whatever comes through, and sending that in to the animal's person and to get some feedback. It doesn't mean they're going to be judging what you send in. Almost every time they're thrilled with whatever they receive. And it's the only way you're going to move forward is to get that feedback. Otherwise, in private, if you're practicing even with 20 animals a week in private, do you ever know that you got it right, or that you don't? You leave it up to your imagination, and whereas your imagination can be a good thing sometimes it can be detrimental and really eat away at your confidence. And this is just one of those things that can build your confidence in a good way. Even if you get things wrong, it's okay. You're still going to get things right. And the confidence booster membership and just practicing on site, sending in your conversations, that's going to help you a lot. Let's see. I think there's maybe one more comment. Maybe not. Okay.
So one of the things that I want to encourage people to just do it is that the feeling when you know it's the it's the coolest thing to be able to hear animals and to know they'll hear you. It really is. It just is. You know, my relationship with my animals have changed. My relationship, generally with my life, the way I connect with other animals around me. It's like if you've always wanted to learn a particular language and you got it and you did it and you can understand somebody else speaking that language. That's really what in a way drives you. So just explore it. It's got to be something you feel excited or fun or curious about. So don't allow it to be hard work.
Right. That is important. I spent too many years in dread and pushing it off because it just didn't. I was worried I was going to fail. And as Pia Dad has said, and others, if you can just be as fearless as you can and just move forward and just say, everyone can do this. And of course I can do this. I just have to find my own style, my own voice in this. And when that happens, I'm going to feel comfortable. I'm going to feel awesome about what I'm doing, and I'm going to hear things and feel things and experience things in my own way, not anybody else's way, my own way. And when all that comes together, it's just great. It really works. So thank you so much, Joanne, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for giving me this time to talk things through, and also for your site.
Yep. Happy to have it there for you. We'll see you guys online. Thank you for joining us for this kind of long webinar, but worth it. But we'll see. Anyone has any other questions, feel free to post them, and Joanne will get them, and I'll get them, and we'd be happy to respond.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.